So hello everyone and welcome. And when my children were young, we had this children's book that had drawings that were magnifications of 10. And these books would start with, I think they went different directions. Maybe they'd start, but one common one would start like far out in space and maybe see the world in the middle of our solar system maybe, or a galaxy. And then each page would take it power of 10 closer in until just the world, then just a particular maybe continent, and then get closer and it'd be just a city, and then closer it'd just be the park in the city, and then the lawn in the city, and then the grass in the few pieces of grass in the city, and then going closer and it would be somehow a close-up of the cells, and then go into the cells and see pieces of the cells and maybe DNA, and then go closer still and there would be molecules and atoms, and closer still and just the electrons and protons, and in vast space. And it was kind of a remarkable thing to kind of change the perspectives and see things in so many different ways. And meditation can be a little bit the same way. And which direction we go varies. And sometimes it's going inward into a vast space of just a few electrons. And sometimes it's outwards into a vast empty space in a galactic systems or something. And sometimes it's nice to have the idea of going back and forth between these two different perspectives, vast and large and very small and close in. But I think starting where we're at as human beings. And then I think oftentimes meditation is more like starting where we're at and learning to be fully present for where we're at, regardless where we are in the powers of 10. But then as we relax and settle and quiet, it's kind of like moving inwards and becoming kind of closer and more intimate in here, and until we're kind of powers of 10 and just go in and in to come to a place where the most intimate, the most expansive, the most freeing is kind of like this vast space. And it feels like we're home in some ways. And then we return and come back to this human perspective and hopefully bring with us the freedom. So to take a alert, upright posture and lowering your gaze gently, letting your gaze be relaxed. And then to gently close your eyes and to begin here at this human realm of your life here and in the place where you live, maybe surrounded by your neighborhood of maybe other homes, apartment buildings, maybe you live rurally, surrounded by fields or forests, mountains. Just kind of where you are and the environment around you. Maybe as far as you can walk for 5 minutes, as if this too is part of your world, part of who you are in a sense. So here in the middle of this neighborhood, this land, under the sky, here you are. in a sense, sitting on the earth here. And then bring your attention in closer. And if you're sitting in a room, be aware of sitting in a room. This is the power of 10, maybe coming inward. Or if you're sitting outside, just not what you can walk 5 minutes in any direction to, but here, what you can see, what you can feel around you. In Buddhism, we have this idea that the location where someone meditates is kind of like the center of your world, your experiential world, the world of your perceptions. And if you come closer in to just here in this body, feeling how this body connects to this place, the weight of the body, the pull of gravity, and where those meet in your cushion, surfaces your body touches. Here, definitely here, this spot, the center of your universe. In this body that breathes, and maybe as you breathe you feel the movements of your chest and torso against your clothes. Maybe you feel like whatever your hands are contacting, your thighs, your knees, each other. Here, this body that has been your companion one way or the other for years. Now, centering yourself in this body, taking a few long, slow, deep breaths, relaxing into the body on the exhale. Breathing normally, and as you exhale with a normal breath, perhaps there can be a quieting, a gentling of your thinking mind. Maybe not dramatically, but a little bit of a quieting, calming of the thinking mind. With a lot of thinking, it's kind of easy to feel removed from oneself, one's body, one's lived experience. Letting go of your thoughts, letting go into this living body, feeling it from the inside out. And maybe coming in closer, kind of power of 10 kind of movement. Feeling the particular location in your body where you most feel your sense of aliveness. The place in your body that most represents or is associated with the living here in this moment. And perhaps if it's easy, allow this location in your body to be gently massaged, rocked by the breathing. By the rhythm of breathing in and breathing out. By the rhythm of the body moving as you breathe. As you exhale, can you settle in, let go into deeper within, like a power of 10, centering yourself, either at the center of where you're most alive, or centering yourself where the breathing begins, where the breathing ends, the place in your body, the ending and beginning of breathing. Like you're entering into a beautiful grove of trees, leaving the world behind. Enter into your depth of your body, leaving your thoughts behind. letting go of thoughts and letting go into the quietest, deepest place within. Going inwards beneath your thoughts, beneath your feelings, beneath it all. Is there some place of calm or peace that you can touch into? At the center of it all, maybe it's just a pinhead in size, but some place, the powers of 10 going in, of calm or peace. Maybe have your breathing, the rhythm of breathing, move through that place, through the calm, the peace. And as you inhale, let that calm become larger through your body. As you inhale, let your awareness spread through your body. Bringing with it the calm or the sense of spaciousness. Expanding to the whole body. your awareness, your conceiving spread out to include this room or the place you're sitting. Maybe the inhale spreads the calm or the spaciousness out into the room. And then letting your awareness expand outward as if it can reach out across the land around you, the territory, the neighborhood, bringing with it a sense of expanding calm. And visualizing or considering the wider land in which you are at, out as far as you can walk on a 5-minute walk, maybe just out and expanding outwards, as if your calm or your spaciousness expands ever outwards. And powers of 10 outwards across the city, the county, the province, the state that you're in, and all the people that inhabit this area. And you as one of a multitude of people. But from your point of view, you sit in the middle of the multitude. And from your calm spaciousness, imagine you gaze upon all beings with kindness and friendliness. You wish them well. And taking powers of 10 more broadly, or powers of 100, and out into space, looking back on this world, this planet floating in space, this blue marble with so many people on it, so many beings who have this precious opportunity to be alive and to be breathing and gazing upon it all kindly and friendly. Wishing, may all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. And may all beings be free. Thank you. So, welcome to the second talk on a series of talks on the topic of meaning, the meaning making in relationship to meditation. And one of the areas that so first I want to say as introduction that there's a cliche that everyone is a philosopher, but they don't know it. Many people don't know it. And what that means, I think, is that everyone has a set of interpretations, meaning, understanding of what it means to be alive, what's important, what this life is about, that they operate from. Though sometimes it's not reflective. Sometimes they haven't thought about it, haven't realized they're doing this. And part of a path of mindfulness is both to be reflective about this, to be clear and conscious, but also to discover what are some of the underlying assumptions, belief systems, interpretations that we are basing our life on. And as we sit quietly in meditation, it's possible to see these operate and then also to question them. Some of them aren't really that helpful or healthy for us, and some of them are. And be able to distinguish between which is useful and not, which seem accurate or not, is part of the wonderful power of meditation, of mindfulness. So one area that we can connect, one area of meaning making in connection to meditation is our understanding of what it means to be a self and what it means to have other people in relationship to a self. That there's a lot of philosophy, a lot of ideas that come along with our notions of who we are and who others are and what that connection is. I think a wonderful story around this was some years ago. There was someone who did a study of different meditation centers. I think they're all in the United States. But some of them were primarily the participants, the meditators, were primarily born and raised in the United States, acculturated in this local United Statesian culture, and some were acculturated in an Asian culture that had a much stronger collectivist culture, much stronger sense of communal sense of identity and who they are. Whereas in the United States, many people who grew up in this culture have a much stronger sense of individuality and the individual. So researchers studied these two different meditation centers and asked the participants, how was the retreat you did? They both did, week-long retreats or something. Well, how was the retreat, and what did you gain, or what was the benefits from the retreat? And both groups loved the retreat. That it was fantastic, it was life-changing. So that they had in common. But when they discussed what they benefited from them and what way it was so great, in one way or the other, the people who had been raised in this local culture in the United States, they emphasized that they discovered who they are, they got a sense of real independence and freedom, and all the reference points were very individualistic. And those people who came from the Asian culture, they said, I realized how much gratitude I have for my society, my family, how deeply connected we are, and I've appreciated so much more all the benefits I've received from, my society, my family, my everyone, and that sense of connection and gratitude and being part of something was, so powerful for me. And so, in many ways, maybe they were having similar you could say, similar experience of settling, getting concentrated, becoming still, letting go of hindrances. But the meaning or the value that they took out of the experience, what they selected out of their experiences, this is what is important. It was so very different. One was very individualistic, one was more about how they are in the collective. And so this speaks to how, and often that's invisible, that we make this selection. It just seems like this is natural. Of course, this is like, isn't this what it's all about? Or because the view we have about what's important is not, it's just taken for granted. It's built into the fabric of the universe, that self is important and discovering the self. Similar thing happened to me many years ago where I was on a panel and with a Christian minister, and I was kind of like the Buddhist teacher minister. And there also the person that I was, the person I was with was Asian American, and I was, represented people from the United States, I guess, or Europe. We're kind of this individualist. Norway, where I'm from, is very individualistic, maybe even more so sometimes than the way we are in the United States. And we were asked, what brought you into Buddhism? What would you, or into your religion? She was Christian, and for me, I was kind of happily, matter-of-factly, as if it was the most natural thing in the world back then. It was talked about how, finding myself or finding this inner freedom, and she talked about how her Christian faith, how much it put her into a community of fellow people in relationship to society and people. That was what was so meaningful for her, and found a sense of belonging and home. And there again, we see this, people enter into a religion, have very different orientation about what they're looking for and what they want. So, and we come with a lot of ideas, not just simple like that, but what it means to be an individual, what it means to be a self, what's important. And so when we sit down to meditate, it's part of what our motivation can be is about that self. It could be that we're looking for how to be a better, get a career advancements. And so we've been told that if we're too anxious. And so you need to meditate to get calmer and quieter, because that's how you're going to, be more respected at work. And so it's all about me attaining something, getting something. It could be that it could be this, it's another person who's been told that, you really don't fit into the community here very well, and you might try meditating, because then you'll relax and start feeling more connected to the people around you. And so the meditation can have a different function for different people depending on what seems important for them. And then so then also the locus of what's valued the most around the self. Is the self as an autonomous, independent person what's most important, and we have to realize that and find it? Or is the self as someone embedded in a system of relationships with other people, and somehow finding ourselves kind of connected to that embedment and embedded nature of society or social connections? That meditation is going to help us to really feel connected to that and feel much more part of it in a deeper and deeper way. I've seen, my early years when I was first coming to Buddhism and was kind of peer with a lot of new people coming to Buddhism, how some people were really coming to find themselves. And what they found was, instead of finding themselves, or maybe they did because they found themselves, then at some point they found themselves back into the deeper connection to the religion they grew up with. And so they will go back into a church or a synagogue or something, and in a way that they then participated more in the collective life of it. Other people I've seen, it goes into Buddhism and it also finds a sense of community there, and that's what's kind of more important than the meditation, because that's what they're culturally or personally, their philosophy, what they think is important. And some people, I've, just for some whatever reason, find that their engagement with Buddhism is always very personal, and they're happy to go off and be hermits and long periods of meditation without much connection to others. Is one better or worse than the other? I'd rather not think that way. There are all ways of organizing meaning, purpose in this world of ours, and maybe they all have a place. They all have a role. There's a time and season for all things, and there's a place in society for maybe all the different ways that we can construct our sense of self, our sense of meaning, our sense of being connected with others. And this is an adventure. It's kind of like a discovery. It's kind of like and as I said in the meditation, kind of like the powers of 10. That meditation takes you into some deep, deep place, quiet, still, letting go place. And then how do we interpret that around the sense of how we understand the self and what's important around the self and what the self is in relationship to needs and motivations and purposes and our place in this world, in that deep place? Or what's that connection from that deep place of freedom as we come back to powers of 10, back into the world, back into society? And not a few people have found themselves transformed so that their relationship and their understanding of what it means to be in relationship to other people is radically changed. A simple way of understanding would be that many people are codependent, very deep sense of neediness and need, and really measuring their success and their well-being in relationship to other people and comparing themselves to other people. And to really delve deep into this kind of very powers of 10 to go within, going within, and letting go of the social world for a while can be transformative, so that when we come back into the social world, that the sense of neediness is not there anymore. This sense of comparing ourselves and measuring ourselves with other people. And then the social world can have a very different meaning than it had before. How much meaning it has, how important it is, depends in part by the meaning-making understandings that we have about our place in the world and who we are in relationship to other people. And we shouldn't assume that two meditators share the same understanding of in that range or in that of what's most important, where they most center their life, and is it more in community or more is in the individual, and what other kind of secondary understandings come from that. So without saying any of it's a right and wrong, I think that's very important. What I'd like to say is that it's important to become reflective about it, think deeply about it, realize what we're operating under, what are the assumptions, what are the beliefs we have around self, around others. And to dismiss this whole investigation of self, because Buddhism says there's no self, kind of, or not to focus on self, it's easy that we think, almost miss or not notice that we actually have, almost subconsciously, unconsciously, deeply embedded notions and operating principles around what it means to be a self and what's important and what kind of selective process attention is used for, to pick out and recognize and know in this world what's important. So I offer this with the hope that you will maybe spend some time today, maybe talking with friends and others about your own central focus on understanding of what it means to be a self, an individual, and what beliefs and ideas come along with your sense of personhood. And what is it to be a person in society? And what are the beliefs and ideas and understandings that come along with how you are embedded in society? Are you embedded, or are you really removed? What's the connection there? And I hope that if you reflect deeply on these things and think about them, that when you come to do your meditation, some of those things can be put down, can be put to rest temporarily. and they won't be operating and churning away in some maybe quiet, deep way, and allow some power of 10 to open up for you, whether it's power of 10 deeper and deeper in, or power 10 further and further out. That's for you to discover. So thank you very much, and